Good day. This is Michael Bednar from the Center for Fiscal Equity. Today we're addressing trade policy 2022, both for the Ways and Means Committee for March 30th and for the Finance Committee on the 31st of March. So to both committees, please consider the following issues which are likely left off of the President's agenda. If the Belt Road and forced labor in China are still an issue, the answer is probably resurrecting some form of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The right of businesses to localized special tribunals must be modified or ended in any redo. This should be the case with all such trade agreements. Agreements which try to modernize other nations' labor arrangements need an awareness that America's performance on issues of democracy, organized labor, wage and hour, and safety enforcement are far from stellar. Perhaps any arrangements should include monitoring American employers and the governments that should be looking out, and the government agencies that should be looking out for them. At the very least, end right to work. Such laws are really right to exploit laws, including through the use of human trafficking. Migrant workers in the food industry, from harvesting to processing and packing, face all sorts of bad treatment, sometimes with that treatment abetted by local law enforcement. Immigration reform must be part of the trade policy agenda. Workers who do not have documentation problems cannot be easily exploited, especially if they are able to unionize. This will also level the playing field for American workers. A unionized worker, whether they be immigrant or a citizen, will make more money and be safer. The stories of workers having to do so sick was highlighted in the early days of the pandemic. I have not heard that things have gotten better. An analysis of how consumption taxes can improve our trade policy is found in a second attachment. The first attachment on tax reform is included to clarify the terms of the second. These are attachments because they have been provided before. I am available to explain these topics. There are many who can talk about how value-added taxes relate to trade, but I'm the only one I know who can walk the committee and staff through how an employer-paid subtraction tax applies to trade. Part of the trade equation is the recently completed agreement on corporate minimum taxes. This faces challenges to enactment in the Senate. Perhaps it should. I am no fan of corporate income taxes when value-added taxes, both the GST and an invoice VAT and a subtraction VAT, are available, as they are in my proposal. Our proposals for an asset value-added tax will require international cooperation as well. Part of trade is moving money around, including financial assets. An asset VAT as a replacement for capital gains taxes and capital returns must go farther than the border. It is too easy to shift to offshore stock exchanges where such taxes do not exist. International agreements on rates and enforcement structures are vital for such a tax to work. The model for negotiating the CMT on a multinational basis can be used for this effort. So we've practiced. Now we can try it again and do something real. The trade policy is its impact on national debt ownership. Bond holdings backing the currencies of our trading partners is a key consideration. The possibility that debt may outpace our trading capital needs must be a concern. A more urgent concern is the impact on treasury bond prices if the European Union creates a consolidated debt with a continental tax system to back the euro. Such an option would bring about a day of reckoning on our debt, a reckoning that income taxpayers will have to face. Because as I've shown, income taxpayers are the ones who are responsible because the debt is possible because of income taxes. It is important to understand who owns it and owes the debt. We are currently revising our previous study, settling and squaring accounts. Who really owns the national debt? Who owes it? Which is available from Amazon at the link provided. I can provide free copies of the prior version upon request and will distribute the latest edition once it is completed. It'll be under a different title The debt is class warfare. The most recent bottom line estimates can be found in the second attachment. It shows who is on the hook for the debt and who benefits from it. Note that the top 22,000 households break even on debt owned and owed. Everyone else is in hock, except of course the bottom few quintiles, which also are owed money because of their ownership of retirement assets. Again, please see the third attachment for more on this issue. It's the third, not the second. A main conclusion of our analysis is that the national debt is the leverage for capitalism to the extent that debt securities allow Wall Street to offer riskier assets, such as mortgage-backed securities embedded in exchange-traded funds, as well as more traditional offerings. Held by the few, and the attachment shows how very few we mean, provides management absolute control over most workplaces. Employee-owned firms would not need such an unbalanced economy leveraged by American Treasury holdings. As you have heard, China is in the middle of a housing, finance, and development crisis. The impact of these developments on both bilateral and world trade will be huge. They demand a separate set of hearings by multiple committees, especially Finance and Ways and Means. I'm already hearing about those and watching them, since I have no special information, but I definitely would like to know what the committee staffs can find. The most important long-term issue is international employee ownership, which is discussed in the second attachment. That's the one that talks about VATs. Domestic employee-owned firms will find it in their interest to offer the same standard of living and ownership rights to oversee subsidiaries and the supply chain. In the long term, such ownership ends the need for any political agenda on trade. Trade issues will take care of themselves within the enterprise, leaving currency arbitrage in the dust. Enacting the proposed asset value-added tax with zero-rated sales to such firms will make that day come sooner, leading to a more integrated world without the need for a worldwide war machine. Our most urgent concern in trade is climate change. Our current approach is inadequate. We need to put our money where our mouths are, or rather, where the world's mouths are. We need more than international agreements. We need international retrofitting, primarily in the energy sector. This means funding abatement issues in the developing world and helping to carry them out. It is not enough to insist on goals. We must pay for action anywhere our trading powers will let us. I'm moving to Jakarta if all things go well, and I would rather not drown. So yes, this is important to me and to everybody else who does not wants to see, billions of people either die or relocate. So yes, this is hopefully it will be raised today. If not, I've raised it. So thank you very much for your time. Have a pleasant day.